The theme for May is really everything was. The topic for today is fear. Our first reflection comes from Carol Mace. Surrendering your problems and faith to the divine is not fancy. It's positive liberation. So set your soul free. Pray like you have nothing to lose except your fears. Our second reflection comes from Galen Rubenich. When I care to be powerful, to use my strength in service of my vision, then it becomes less and less what I am doing. Let's declare together.
I face my fears through courage, strength, and faith.
Yes. So I would like to begin with a story. It's a story of a son and a mother. A little boy who was afraid of the dark. So one night, his mother told him that she would like him to go out onto the porch, thank you so much, onto the porch and bring in a broom for her. And he said, "But Mama, I don't like to go out in the dark. It's really scary." To which she replied, "You don't have to be afraid of the dark. Jesus is out there. He'll protect you." To which the little boy said, "Are you sure he's out there?" And the mother replied, "Yes, I'm sure he is everywhere and always ready to help when you need him." So the little boy thought about it. He went to the door, cracked it open just a little bit, and he said, "Jesus, if you're out there, would you bring me the broom?" Fear. Self-sabotaging fear. Now, we're not talking about the fear that is an important thing and serves us when there is real danger. But today we're talking about the kind of fear that is truly not a threat, but it's something made up in the mind. And so fear then is our reaction to a perceived threat of hurt or harm, either real or imagined. So when fear gets triggered, we all know this, we've heard this over and over again, right? It triggers the stress response. And there are actually 4. There used to be 3 things that we would say along with it. There's fight, and that means you face the fear and you fight it out, with aggression. So fight, flight means you run the other way. So fight, flight, freeze. Freeze means you're just so petrified that you can't do anything. You're just totally paralyzed in place. And the last one is fawn, F-A-W-N, which means you do everything you can to please what you perceive as your threat so that it'll leave you alone, to avoid the conflict. So that's the pleasing aspect of it. So fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. So when we imagine danger that's not really there, we have a great acronym for it. Anybody know what it is? False appearing real. False evidence appearing real. Yes, we've heard this. So fear from an imagined threat then are things like fear of failure, fear of success, fear of flying, fear of being alone, and fear of being with people. It's all of these different ways that it shows up and doesn't serve us. And ultimately, when we think about those things, what are they based in? That fear of those different things. We know it's in the mind, yes, thank you, Jen. But also, it's a fear of some kind of lack. It's a fear that I am lacking something. I am lacking the courage that's necessary. There's all this kind of, I'm not enough to face it. I'm not enough to be successful, or I'm not interesting enough to be with other people, or whatever it is. It all goes back to a sense of lack of some kind. And lack comes from a belief that we are somehow separate from our good. We are somehow separate from, and in this spiritual teaching, from the divine, the all that is. So when we are operating in that fear of lack place, it's very difficult for us to grow beyond where we are right now. It's very difficult for us to expand in love and peace and joy and compassion, all those things that we value. And it's also difficult to realize our dreams if we stay within our comfort zone. If we avoid those things that are fearful, that really aren't a threat. Charles Fillmore, in his book Prosperity, wrote, "There is no lack of anything anywhere in reality. The only lack is the fear of lack. The only lack is the fear of lack, which is in the mind. We do not need to overcome any lack, but we must overcome the fear of lack." So that's self-sabotaging fear. And you're wondering, so how am I going to weave in Mother's Day? Well, I had that question myself, but then I meditated and I got an answer to this. First of all, my little story helps to weave it in at the beginning, but also, one of the tasks of being a mother and that mothering energy is to encourage her children to be able to face those kinds of fears with courage. And I remember when I took and taught parenting education years ago, I was involved in this thing called Family Education Center for 10 years. And one of the things that I remember that was so profound is that if you're going to teach your children anything, if it's just one thing, it's courage. It's the courage to face whatever fears might be before them. A very powerful thing to be aware of. So when we develop courage and faith in ourselves, we talk about through mothering, when then the child grows into an adult who has the self-talk to encourage themselves. When mother's not around, that self-talk then becomes the thing that is ongoing within the child, and then that turns into self-trust, and it's trusting also the general goodness of the universe, and a trust in this what we call universal law, which responds to our belief structure and creates our reality. Yet many of us may kind of say, well, you know what? I don't have as much courage and trust as I would like, so maybe my mother failed me in some way. There might be a little thought like that, I don't know. And so here's the thing, is we humans have selective memory. We do. We pick and we choose our memories. And it may be unconscious. It may be just something that was more prominent than other things. And so the analogy is then like the fruit that we pick from a tree, we decide which ones to keep and which ones to leave behind. And we can never pick all of the fruit of the tree. So what we do is we tend to remember the ones that we pick. And so so here's the thing, there's a lot of good fruit on that tree that was never picked. In other words, there are memories that we may not remember, all the different ways that our mothers supported us and encouraged us and believed in us. We may not remember all those right off the top of our heads. However, at least in this moment, however, we can re-choose at any moment what to remember and how to frame the situation. So here's just a thought of a possibility. We can decide to select one really good memory. You know, it's kind of like selecting a ripe, tasty peach. And then what happens is if we do dwell on that and meditate on that, all of a sudden it tends to draw and attract other memories that are in alignment, vibrate with that tasty peach memory. And then there's this greater context that we're able to see in from that higher vibration, is that all of the joys and the sorrows along the way are what help to fashion us into the person that we are today. And still desiring to grow and expand and unfold. That takes courage, right? I mean, that's why all of us are here. It's because we truly do want to continue to grow in love, in peace, in faith, in joy, and in being a beneficial presence on the planet. And it takes courage to do that. And so then what we do is we begin to shift into understanding this reframing, and I'm taking this from Dean's workshop, or his retreat rather, yesterday, is to ask yourself the question, how is whatever happened, how is this for me? How did it happen for me? How did it help me to grow, to expand, and to unfold in consciousness? How can I look at it, perceive it in a way that it supported me? How did it motivate me to do this, that, or the other? And I know one of the things for me personally is I decided, the reason why I got into parenting education is because I decided I wanted to do things differently from the way my mother did. And you know, she did many things well, and she actually did a much better job than her mother did for her. And yet I wanted to take it to the next level, so I got involved in parenting education. And I know my daughters are, you know, taking things to the next level. They're both here, Christy and Michelle, taking it to the next level. And so that's what we do, is we allow those challenging moments to inspire us to do better, to grow, to be a more beneficial presence on the planet. That's the great way to reframe it. How is it for me? A great question to ask yourself. So this is Mother's Day, yes. It's a great time not only to express gratitude for our mother's love, it's also a good time to deal with unpleasant memories by doing our forgiveness work, and by selecting a different fruit to choose to remember that no matter what your relationship was with your mother, or is, that your mother fulfilled her duty of bringing you here into this life experience. An opportunity, and I understand from the other side that there are lots of souls that would just love to have this earthly experience. And so we're here now, and we have the opportunity to spread the love, the compassion, the peace, the joy that we are on this planet, to do it in our own unique way. And so we can thank our mothers for that. You know, the Divine Mother archetype that is in human consciousness, in other words, the ideal of mother, may lead us to believe that mothers should be a certain way, should be infallible, should be faultless, should be self-sacrificing, and willing to do anything for the sake of their children. Yet mothers are also in the process of unfolding their divinity. unfolding their divine nature. And so it's important to realize that is not going to measure up to the divine ideal. It's just not, because we're on this journey. And so it's important to be kind with our mothers and understanding, and also to be kind with ourselves for any judgments that we've made so far about our mothers, or maybe if we are mothers, judgments that we've made about ourselves. It's time to let go of that. And it's time to embrace and focus on, picking the good fruit. Focus on what are the things that we have done and that we are doing to make a difference. I was thinking about Marianne Williamson at the Parliament of World's Religions. And she made this very powerful speech, very impassioned speech about loving, being mothers, and bringing forth that mother bear energy. But that's what the planet needs right now. And Monica, I'm sorry I did not see your email earlier. Monica sent me this beautiful history of Mother's Day. There was a lot in there that I didn't know. Some of these original women that gave birth to Mother's Day, they were sick and tired of war and their husbands and their sons dying in war. They were disgusted with it. They had it and were writing letters to the general population of women. And so when Mother's Day came forth, it was really a peace movement. Did you know that? It was a peace movement. There was an intention to bring forth, to radiate and shine the value of motherhood, but also to encourage mothers to bring out that mother bear energy and tell their sons, no, you are not going to war. We're not doing war anymore. No, you're not harming anybody. You're not harming the earth. No. Take a moment and feel that. And so one of the original women wrote a letter and was hoping to encourage women to stand up, and because they had the power to speak to their sons and say, no, we're not doing this anymore. We're not doing this anymore. And this was around the Civil War time when she wrote it. I don't remember her name right off the top of my head, but it really made an impression on me. And Marianne Williamson, I think, is carrying that banner forward. So our mothers, whether we're mothers or we're thinking of our own mothers, are always doing the best we know how in the moment, giving the best that we have. And so it is time to understand that that's what anybody is truly doing in any moment. And so now then is the time for us to tap into the mother energy within ourselves. And I left a handout for all of you to take with you on just a nice little exercise. It looks like this. If anybody doesn't have it, there are some that are on the chairs around you. And it's called the Spirit of Self-Mothering, where you create an intention for what you want in your life. It is my intention that I am or have, and so maybe you want to be more compassionate, more loving, or whatever it is. Maybe you want to be more of a mother bear. And so this doesn't matter what your gender is. This is about bringing forth the divine mother energy within you, male or female, more fully. And in creating the affirmation, this is a beautiful way to start it. In an easy and relaxed manner, in a healthy and positive way, I am now creating, I have an example, financial flow that meets my expenses. It can be, I'm now, in a healthy and positive way, I am now being the mother bear that I am meant to be. And so then you have your own place to do that. You can use mala beads and count off 108 per day to help that sink into the subconscious mind. because we know our thoughts and our beliefs transform us. And then you look at you ask yourself the question, what if your future consisted of what you were grateful for today, and experience that gratitude now? So claim that you're experiencing that now. So I'm so happy and grateful now that I am a powerful demonstration of Mother Bear energy. So so we're using just a couple different tools to help bring forth those mothering, those qualities within ourselves. And it may be just a matter of changing your self-talk to being more encouraging. That might be a really great place to start if you tend to get down on yourself more easily. So faith, and my final point is faith, feel the fear and do it anyway. So from a spiritual perspective, we overcome fear with faith. Faith in ourselves, faith in the divine, faith in the goodness of life. And so my faith has grown over the years, and what I recalled, I came to my mind when I thought about this topic, is the first time that I came into contact with this feel the fear and do it anyway. And this was way back in probably 1990. And there was a practitioner that was on board at that time. This was Wilmington Church of Religious Science, years ago when I first started. And I first learned what a practitioner was, and I went up to the practitioner after service. Her name was Julita Weldis. She is the mother of Reverend Petra Weldis, who is one of the spiritual directors of CSL Dallas. So Julita was, and actually Petra, when she was just starting off in ministry school, came and spoke at our center one Sunday. So Julita, upon hearing that I wanted to get over my fear of flying, because it was a real problem, and we wanted to do some more traveling, and I was like getting sick to my stomach, I was getting headaches. I mean, it was a big issue. So I went to her, prayed, she did a spiritual mind treatment, and then she said, feel the fear and do it anyway. Go on the trip, take meditation tapes with you, and meditate. She said, just meditate the whole way that you're on the plane. Get yourself into that deep state of relaxation. I did, and I banished, the divine within me, banished the fear of flying. So, powerful stuff. Feel the fear. It doesn't mean run from the fear and pretend like it's not there. Feel it, but just go ahead and get outside of your comfort zone and do what you need to do. And in this case, I was supporting myself with meditation. So faith is really interesting. Faith is not the absence of fear. Faith is the willingness to move forward because we want to accomplish what we want to accomplish, whatever the vision is. That vision is pulling us forward in spite of the fear. And here's the other thing that I know, that as we continue to practice stepping outside of our comfort zone over and over and over again, we build courage, we build faith, and that faith is cumulative. So that when we're faced with another big challenge, we can draw upon that faith because we know that it works. We've had experience of that faith working for us previously. We understand the use of universal law. We understand that if we continue to seed our consciousness with a new affirmation of who it is we choose to be, as we do our spiritual mind treatment, as we meditate, we know that we continue to grow and we can face anything with courage and faith. So, to bring this to a conclusion, I'd like to give you a quote by Buddha. It's a beautiful quote. Like a caring mother holding and guarding the life of her only child, so with a boundless heart of loving kindness, hold yourself and all beings as your beloved children. So what a wonderful gift that we can give on this Mother's Day, not only giving our thanks and gratitude, but giving our own mothering qualities to the planet. And therefore we are leaving a great legacy for Mother's Day. And so it is. Namaste.